You know, everybody has a origin story, and I've told mine on this channel in the past, so I'm going to try to not talk about a lot of the games I mention frequently on this channel. Stuff like Mega Man 2, Super Mario Bros. 2, Battle of Olympus, that won't be on this video. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jay. Welcome to Square Pegs. On Threads today, I actually saw someone ask if anyone remembered Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, but it got me thinking about games that were kind of like foundational ones for me and kind of unsung heroes in what formed me and motivated me to really embrace gaming as a hobby. And I want to talk about 10 of them. We're going to start things off with not Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, but my personal favorite from that franchise, Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. Growing up, the son of someone who dived deep into history and loved the Bronze Age and all kinds of, like, I was surrounded by history books growing up. Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego was something that just kind of spoke to me and was really the perfect game for me to be able to play games while still learning something, even though I didn't want to admit that I was just on a quest to capture Carmen and the other agents from Vile through history this time, as opposed to various geographical locations. But looking back on it, it was something that really made me appreciate down the road games kind of like the Assassin's Creed titles, where especially the more modern ones where they had kind of the story mode where you're able to just kind of go through and kind of get a history lesson of the different places you were exploring. That harkened back to stuff like Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. And I just really loved it. It was such a simple concept, such an easy to understand game, and such an easy to grasp game that I couldn't help but enjoy it because it wasn't complex. It was just logical. You had to think. So figuring out where Carmen had gone through history by using your Acme time machine, capturing her and the different henchmen from Vile, was something that I just really enjoyed. And I thought it was kind of a perfect game, and one that I still enjoy today. I don't have my Commodore 64 version anymore. I actually have it on the Sega Genesis, but I still love it. I still think it's great. Next up, for me, fighting games were always something that was important. And while, yes, I definitely cut my teeth on things like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2, the one that really kind of sent me over the edge and really made me appreciate not just the game, but kind of the lore and the characters as well, was Fatal Fury. And playing it today, yeah, it's clunky, it's slow. Playing it on a home console like the Sega Genesis isn't the greatest experience, but playing it on a Neo Geo was still pretty great. And it introduced me to characters I still love to this day, like Terry and Joe and Andy and Geese Howard and Billy Kane. These were all characters that I enjoyed, all characters I appreciated, and all characters I still think are fantastic. I really do think that Fatal Fury, which became King of Fighters, is the best fighting game franchise out there. And while Street Fighter might have it beaten longevity and probably social impact, Mortal Kombat as well, for me, I just think Fatal Fury is a better game. I love it. I will always love it. I will always enjoy it. And it all started the first time I played it on the Sega Genesis, and I was only spoiled for better experiences on other consoles down the road. I want to go back to the NES, and I know I've talked about this game on the channel in the past, but it's not one that I speak of frequently, and I don't really know why, because I still love it to this day, and it's one of my favorite kind of franchises, and it's River City Ransom. River City Ransom is really my first exposure to Kunio-kun games, and I think that's probably the case for a lot of folks. Whether it was this or Super Dodgeball or Nintendo World Cup, that's kind of where we got the introduction to that kind of idea. And it was one that I really loved because not only was it a really fun beat-em-up and a really easy to understand beat-em-up and a really enjoyable beat-em-up, it was one that kind of blended beat-em-ups and RPGs and had a wicked sense of humor at the same time. So it was really everything that like 10, 11, 12-year-old Jay really wanted in a video game was here, you know. I will never forget the first time I beat up a guy and his dialogue came up on the bottom of the screen saying barf, and I just laughed my fool head off. It's still fun today, and it still plays incredibly well today, and it's inspired a huge franchise of games. Like, not only do we have the River City Girls games that WayForward did, but we have just a metric ton of Kunio-kun games that released over in Japan that we didn't really get here in the States. I mean, we got a few, like I mentioned, but outside of those games that I mentioned, the Double Dragon games and Crash and the Boy Street Challenge, there's so many over there that we never saw, and it's really a shame because they're a lot of fun. I really want to do something with the ice hockey game. Surprise, right? But it's something where, I don't know, I need to think about it. It's just such a great concept for a game and such a Shame that it never released over here, even though it was ready to release over here. It just never made it. Want to go over to arcades now, and the big one for me, like, while so many people love Ninja Turtles, and I love Ninja Turtles, and so many people love The Simpsons, and I love The Simpsons, the one for me that blew my mind was X-Men, specifically the 6-player cabinet, because I had never seen anything like it at the time. And that made me understand what the possibility was of being able to play a video game as my favorite superhero, beyond even what we saw with Batman 88 on the NES, or Batman 89, I don't remember when it released, but the Tim Burton Batman game. It was something that felt like a cartoon come to life. And it's, you know, obviously it was basically used as kind of a promotional tie-in for Pride of the X-Men, which was supposed to lead into an X-Men animated series that didn't happen. And it was something where I saw these larger-than-life characters that I loved reading comics about, that I loved, you know, thinking up these different adventures that I would write for these characters, or that I would want to see these characters in, and I got to play as them. Like, getting to play as Wolverine and Nightcrawler and Dazzler and Colossus was amazing, and Storm, and then Cyclops was there too. It was something that I just loved. It was such a fun game, and it's something that, with the Marvel collection that came out recently, being able to have that now on my Switch and be able to play it whenever I want to is just phenomenal. It's such a great title, and I'm so happy that it has had a proper console release now, because it's something that we've needed, and I don't want to say we've deserved, but it's something that I think we've needed in gaming for a long time, is to have an easy way to play X-Men at any time that we want to play. One of the most difficult games on this list, and one that is really intriguing to me, because I hated the first game in this franchise that I played, which was Ghosts and Goblins on the NES, but getting to play Ghouls and Ghosts on the Sega Genesis when I got that was legitimately just mind-blowing, because it was stunning. And while it was still difficult and still frequently unfair and just an incredibly hard title, it was one that I played happily, because while Ghosts and Goblins had some of those same traits, I still feel to this day that it's significantly more unfair than Ghouls and Ghosts ever was. And that's saying something, because Ghouls and Ghosts can be brutal. But the game was gorgeous. It was the first time I remember really seeing a arcade port that was as good, at least in my eyes, as the arcade game. It felt like the arcade game come to life. It looked incredible. It played incredible. It was amazing to play an arcade game on my television, and it was awesome. And it still is to this day. It's still one that I think is one of those signature Genesis experiences, and something that I think everyone needs on the Genesis, because it is such a classic game. And while it is unforgiving and it is difficult, I still think it's a fantastic title, and more people need to play it. Even though so many people have played it. I'm saying that like it's some kind of crazy hidden gem. It's not. Clearly it's a classic title for a reason, but it's, I think, one that people either overlook or just don't think of when they think of upper echelon Genesis titles. This one goes back to the arcade, although I did play it on my cousin's Atari 2600. I want to say, at least I think it was my cousin's Atari 2600, might have been someone else. But it's Dig Dug, and I loved Dig Dug. I thought the idea of Dig Dug was great. I remember the skating rink I used to go to had a Dig Dug cabinet, and I thought it was just a blast. I have, my friend Todd did art for me once upon a time on the back of a pizza box of Dig Dug, which I thought was just great, because we were just shooting the shit at Mellow Mushroom one day. And he said, "Hey, tell me to draw something." And I said, "Okay, draw Dig Dug." And he just whipped out this unbelievable Dig Dug picture, and I love it. It's just one of those things that it's such a simple game and such a simple concept. And I think that's kind of what the hallmark of a lot of great arcade titles were, before we started getting to the more complex games like X-Men and things like that, were just single screen, easy to understand, kill the enemies. That's all you had to do. And I loved it. And I still do. It's still fun. Like, I was shocked that we never got it released on the NES. We did have it released on the Famicom. That's where I own a copy of it, is on the Famicom now. But being able to just drop a quarter into the skating rink and play it there was awesome, and just such a fun classic game, man. Like, just a perfect experience across the board. Back now to the Genesis. We're actually going to do 2 Genesis games in a row here. Altered Beast. And I don't talk about Altered Beast often, because I think in the grand scheme of things, it suffers from the fact that there are so many better beat-em-ups out there. And it's kind of weird, because it's an on-rails beat-em-up, which is not something you see terribly often. You know, stuff like Golden Axe, things like that, there was a little bit more freedom of movement, a little bit more exploration, but Altered Beast was constantly scrolling, constantly moving, so it was an on-rails beat-em-up, and it somehow worked. It's very simple, but it's also classic. Like, it's one of those games that, even when I play it today, as simple as it is, I still kind of get those nostalgia vibes and those kind of good feelings of like, man, this is going to be so cool. I'm going to turn into the werewolf. I'm going to turn into the dragon. You know, it's just a classic experience. And I love the idea of it almost being a little bit like Gunsmoke on the NES, which could have very easily made this list, but I've talked about Gunsmoke a lot on this channel, where if you get to where the end of the level would be and you don't have all the objectives met, it just cycles again and you start going again. And Altered Beast does the same thing. If you get to the end and you don't have all the power-ups you need, back to the start and collect them all, and then you're going to come back and fight the boss at the end. I love that the game doesn't let you fail. I mean, it beats the crap out of you, but it doesn't let you fail, if that makes any sense. I think that's great. I talk about NHL a lot on this channel, but one of the first sports games on the Genesis that really made me sit up and take notice was John Madden Football. And while Madden has grown into its own kind of crazy cultural landmark, the original John Madden games were such great experiences and just easy to understand, easy to play, easy to enjoy, and just simple to want to have fun with. Like, it was just basic football. There was nothing else to it. It wasn't flashy. You didn't have to worry about crazy like hit sticks or anything like that. It was just pick a play, complete the play, play defense, score a touchdown if you can, win the game. And it was simple, but it was fun. And it's just one of those games that I think is still charming to this day. Like, despite the fact that Madden has bloated and just has really lost kind of sight of what a sports video game should be, and that's kind of like all EA Sports video games, honestly. But back then, man, it was just such a great experience, and it's still fun. Like, is it as advanced? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. Is it nearly as advanced as stuff as we play today? But still fun, still enjoyable. One that I had forgotten about for a long time, actually, and I saw it at the Cleveland Gaming Classic last year, and it's an arcade cabinet that I love. And I even like the Atari 2600 port, even though it's not spectacular, it's still fun, and that's Kangaroo. And Kangaroo is kind of a spin on Donkey Kong in a lot of ways. Like, you're going up and down ladders, and it's essentially not really it's not a maze, it's a platformer, but you play as a kangaroo, you jump over things, and you can punch things. I really enjoy it. It's very simple. It's, again, kind of like Dig Dug. It's easy to understand what you have to do. It's not overly complex. It doesn't try to do too much. It just does what it needs. And it's just simply fun. And it's kind of like what I love about Donkey Kong so much, is it doesn't try to do too much. It's just fun. Kangaroo is right there with it. I don't know a lot of people that have played it, and I know even fewer people that have actually played the arcade cabinet. They remember the 2600 game, and they might not have the greatest impression of what the game could be, but that arcade cabinet is just magical, man. It's such a fun game. Last but not least, I want to talk about Pokémon Yellow. And Pokémon is not one of those foundational games from when I was a kid. I played it first when I was 18, I think. I had just moved out of the house. I got Pokémon Blue, I want to say. Yeah, I think it was Pokémon Blue. I don't think I had Red. I think it was Blue. And I had it on my original Game Boy, and when Pokemon Yellow came out, I picked that up because I wanted to play as Pikachu. I thought Pikachu was cool. And I loved the idea of like my signature Pokemon following along behind me and walking with me, and I liked the kind of little tweaks and improvements they made to the gameplay and the personality they added to the game. And I just thought it was a wonderful game, and it still is. Like, I think modern Pokemon games are a little bit more forgiving and less grindy than what you experience in classic Pokemon games. Like, Pokemon Red and Blue can be absolutely brutal in how much you have to grind to get through the title, but they're still fun, and they're still unbelievably charming. And just talk about seizing upon a concept and making the most of it. Like, for something that could have been a very simple title, and in a lot of ways Pokemon is very simple, but it's something where what they landed upon and the game they delivered is, I mean, it's a landmark touchstone for a reason, right? Like, it is what it is. and it's as popular as it is because of what they laid out in Generation 1. And I love Pokemon Yellow. It's still fun to play today. I just really enjoy it. All right, so 10 more games that are foundational for me. Ones that I don't talk about terribly often, ones that I love. Let me know in the comments down below. What are your less spoken of and less referenced foundational games for you? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. Engagement helps the channel out. If you really liked it, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you stick around. If you're going to be in Milwaukee next weekend, find me at the Midwest Gaming Classic. I will be on the first floor in the... I don't remember which room. It's one of the rooms on the first floor, but you'll also find me on the sales floor in the vendor area looking around there in the free play arcade. Just going to have a blast. Cannot wait to get back to Milwaukee for the Midwest Gaming Classic. Till next time, folks, I've been Jay. Appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. Remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.